If I told you in the summertime, like say, I don't know, July-ish, that Klay Thompson was going to return sooner than Zion Williamson, what would you have said to me?
I didn't say it.
I
didn't say this.
Next segment? Next question? We got any more questions?
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Laced Up Podcast.
Are we being trolled right now, Mike? What the fuck?
Can I walk off right now?
Put that on a poster. Whoa. No, now it's just an all-star game right now.
You're such a bully.
You don't deserve LeBron James, all right? It's insane.
And you deserve exactly what happened to Chicago over the past decade.
So how'd you and your ex-girlfriend break up?
Bro!
Kidding.
Was it because you were bad at basketball?
Yeah.
Yes!
From Zion to Taylor in the one-handed flush.
I will lie to you and smack you. Yo, what the hell?
I get called out for my fandom. I get called a schmuck.
You guys like my picture of Maya? My brother got it to me.
Oh, I forgot.
Christmas.
Priscilla got a new haircut. That's what I wanted to talk about.
That's fire.
Me? I haven't got a haircut in like freaking 2 months.
You got a new style. It looks like a completely new
Yo,
cut.
honestly, Corzemba, bro, like, I think it's time that you cut your hair, bro. Like, you gotta cut your hair. Like, people, like...
I'm getting differing opinions immediately on whether or not to cut.
I mean, like, long hair on a mic, I just don't agree with it.
Can you grow a beard?
No, I can't. Honestly, this is as good as I can do.
I mean, have you tried?
Gross. I don't know. Yes, I see. The thing is, because I have my brother's a redhead. I have blue eyes and lighter hair. I have the recessive redhead genetic, like a gene, and so I like have the chance to have a kid that's redheaded. And also, when my facial hair grows in, it grows in reddish. So like, I would have to dye my beard to be able to like actually have him.
That'd be kind of hard. I mean, red beard,
beard.
That's different. Like,
do I go the other way? I don't go brown. Like, I don't go my hair color. I just go full red.
Yeah, just screw it.
I think you could rock a red beard. Have you tried? Have you just tried letting it go for like 2 weeks?
I've tried rocking a red beard.
Bro, like different is in. Have you seen like, what are those guys called? The Island Boys? Like, different is in, bro. Like, you can bang from being different. And
if you want to take it a step further, you'd get a face tattoo.
All right, I have a fiance. I don't need to be different. I wear sweatpants everywhere. Anyway, so we talking Klay Thompson. We want to talk Klay Thompson's potential return against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Coop, you want to lead us off as the man with the about 3 million combined views on Klay alone?
No. I'm gonna let you take it because I saw your last ones at like 500K. So I'm gonna let you run with this one.
So, well, I don't have any like banger Klay Thompson videos, so I shouldn't be allowed to talk.
You should never be allowed to talk, but no, I'm joking. That was
wow.
Mean. I'm sorry. That was kind of mean.
That was mean.
That was definitely a little mean. I don't know where that came from. Long day yesterday. I'm sorry.
It's fine. So like when Klay Thompson did this, like he did the little like 6 thing with his hand. So is it like a confirmed thing that he's returning against the Cleveland Cavaliers? Because I know what's crazy about it is he said he's returning, like if he does return against the Cleveland Cavaliers, apparently Steve Kerr said that he's going to start right away. Like he's not coming off the bench. He's just straight up going to start immediately. Off of a torn ACL and torn Achilles, that's kind of like intense, don't you guys think?
Well,
okay.
I'm sorry,
Mr. 3 mil. No.
Yeah, no. Hey, what is this?
No, we're just happy for your success. I'll say, they've been, treating Klay with kid gloves. The Golden State Warriors are probably the organization I trust the most in the entire NBA at this point in terms of player management. They've just been, nailing move after move. They've done it in the past. They crush it. Klay has been hurt twice. That's always going to be, no matter what you do, if you suffer those 2 injuries, no matter what happens, no matter if you're 100% healthy, no matter what anyone says, those are 2 injuries that are on the, your body suffered, and there is a chance of re-injury. There's a chance at something, there's so many NBA players try so hard to come back and they spend so many hours and then they get hurt again. But with Klay, I really do love the way that the Warriors handled all of this. I love that, you watching Klay, warm up, you could see he's ready to play. Tom, our editor, shout out Tom, texted me the other day about something with Klay warming up, and I was like, Klay looks like he could play right now at this very second. I think the Warriors have just waited until Klay was ready to go, because I think they've been, having Klay, instead of the normal, like, put him on the bench, let him get ready, whatever, they've just been doing that in practices and stuff, and they're just, throwing him into the fire because they know they need Klay to win a championship. Probably.
I don't know if they actually need Klay to win a championship at this point. Probably, yeah. But altogether, I don't know if they technically need him. So to add on to what you said a little bit, I saw somewhere that like the injuries are not compounded at this point. Like they are fully healed. And like you said, he's ready to go. And so the report about him returning from Woj is that there's optimism Golden State Warriors guard Klay Thompson will make his debut versus the Cleveland Cavaliers on Sunday. But a final decision is expected to be made once the Warriors return from a 2-game trip on Friday. So there's a chance that we may see Klay this Sunday, but it's not definitely concrete yet.
Coop, what I remember like one time when we were evaluating Klay, you looked at his leg and you're like, his legs don't really look that good. Have you been paying attention to that?
No, I haven't. I mean, actually, yeah. I mean, I haven't, but I think that's a good thing. I think that's because he's progressed so far along and so fast that it's not even a talking point anymore. Like, yeah, he's definitely way ahead of me when it comes to Achilles tear return, because I'm telling you, man, I'm 6 months out and I don't know if I'm ever going to see a court again. That's how I feel. So, kudos to Klay for... No, bro, I'm serious. It's bad, man. Like, it still hurts when I walk. The therapy is tough. I mean, we can't overstate what Klay is doing returning from this. We've seen Achilles tears like just completely derail careers. So, just major props. Yeah. I didn't know that's what got him was an Achilles tear. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's literally like, that's the thing with some of these. This is kind of a sidetrack, but some guys like, Johnny Flynn or something, you always hear him like, oh, he was like Steph Curry got drafted ahead of him. Of course, Johnny Flynn was not going to be better than Steph in all likelihood. However, he was also hurt and you just never really hear it. Sometimes guys just get hurt and just fall by the wayside, I feel like. But yeah, so for what anyone, that didn't see that other pod, Coop also has had an Achilles tear, and he looked at Klay Thompson like when he was like very early in his recovery, right during the summer, and there was just like a lack of muscle on that one leg, correct?
Yeah, it was bad. It was really bad. I mean, but
so basically that would be good. He had a lot of work to do at that point, especially with the chance of re-injury, because if one of your legs has muscle and the other leg, it throws your whole body out of whack, of course. But it's good to hear Klay's doing well.
Coop, just a question for you, bro. If I told you in the summertime, like say, I don't know, July-ish, that Klay Thompson was going to return sooner than Zion Williamson, what would you have said to me?
I didn't say it.
I
didn't say this.
Next segment. Next question. We got any more questions?
Also, guys, while you're here, this podcast, Laced Up, is also on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It would be awesome if you could go check us out there, follow us there, and leave us a review.
Yeah, so guys, we are capping off the giveaway to the first 40,000 subscribers that turn on our notifications for the Laced Up podcast. All you have to do to enter for a chance to win a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X is subscribe, hit that notification bell. If you want to do us a favor, leave a like on the pod and let me know in the comment section down below when it's done. You'll enter for a chance to win a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X.
The Pelicans are actually scaring me right now, I'm going to be honest with you, because Brandon Ingram actually missed a few games due to Achilles soreness. And this past game he returned, he was 3 of 17, 3 of 18, somewhere in that range. And he just looks, I don't know, he looked off. He wasn't explosive. He wasn't, the typical Brandon Ingram that I grew to love. And this is for anybody watching the podcast, if you have Achilles soreness, go to a physical therapist, go to your physician, don't play around with it. When I had Achilles soreness, I just started wearing a bunch of different shoes and I was like, I'll be fine. I'll get over it. And, years later, I end up tearing my Achilles. So I really hope the Pelicans are managing BI's Achilles the right way. And I mean, I understand they're trying to make the play-in, but I don't really think there's much for the Pelicans to be playing for right now. As much as I want them to make the play-in, long-term health always reigns supreme. So yeah, don't play with Achilles soreness or tendonitis.
Do you think they should consider shutting down Zion for the rest of the season and possibly BI? Or at least resting BI for a little bit, not shutting him down for the rest of the season.
So that's a tough one because it's like, what do you value as a team? Do you value that culture going forward, or do you value those draft picks, those lotto picks? I think the Pelicans already have enough young talent to where, it's just a development season. Whatever happens. You get to that point where you honestly can have too much young talent. So I guess to answer your question, I'm kind of fine with whatever happens. What do you guys think that they should do? Because I know Korzimba was in a similar spot.
Yeah, I think I think at this situation you play competitively, not only because so there's of course the factor of that you don't want to build a losing culture. You don't want guys to get used to losing. You don't want to, of course, incentivize losing. That's the last thing a player wants, is to be like, oh, our organization's trying to get a better draft pick, and so we're going to go out there and lose games. However, on top of that, like with the Bulls situation, you have to think that if you have a guy such as Zion, who luckily has a lot of years left on his contract, but a guy like Brandon Ingram too, or a guy like Zach LaVine, is his contract was going to be up this summer, hoping he stays with the Bulls now that we've been incredible. But with that in mind, those guys get unhappy. They can demand trades like a Brandon Ingram can demand a trade whenever he wants to. We've seen it with Ben Simmons. Like, you also don't want to build a losing culture for that. You don't want your stars to just get angrier and angrier and be like, what are we really doing here? I'm trying to win basketball games. I'm trying to win a championship. Are you just trying to get draft picks or what?
So while we're here talking about losing cultures, did anybody catch what happened with the Houston Rockets a few days ago?
With Kevin Porter Jr. just having the meltdown and leaving?
Yeah, so, it wasn't just KPJ, unfortunately. Christian Wood also got in on this whole thing. And, basically, the whole thing started off a little sketch, right? So Christian Wood comes out for pregame warmups, and I got Christian Wood in fantasy, so I'm just like, what the heck is going on? And all of a sudden, he runs back to the locker room, and we're like, oh, it's finally happening. He's getting traded. Wood is gone. Yeah, and it sucks. We've gotten there because he's such a good talent. He's such a great talent, but he's a little selfish, and he's prone to mental lapses and not locking in on the defensive side of the basketball. So pretty much Wood and KPJ, they end up getting benched, and they don't respond to the benching very well. Christian Wood basically just refuses to re-enter the game at halftime, and then KPJ just completely leaves the game, which is something that I don't want to say unheard of, especially considering we just saw what happened with Antonio Brown. Shout out to Microphone. But it was something that you don't usually see in the NBA. And what was also really crazy about this whole thing is that KPJ and John Lucas, who KPJ had the altercation with, John Lucas is a very well-respected assistant coach in the NBA. Like, he's one of the best. And, I've heard from friends that train that, like, John Lucas is an alpha. He talks, you listen. So, there's a lot going on there. And I mean, the thing with Christian Wood is this has been going on all season, and it goes back to that culture thing we were talking about. At what point do you have to make a move with KPJ or Christian Wood? How do you guys feel about this?
Go ahead, Corzine.
No, so Mike, you could talk about this. I've got thoughts on possible trade options. That'll be my role here because I'm excited whenever this kind of stuff happens. Of course it's like, oh, dysfunction, yeah, but I'm I'm the NBA fan that's always like, okay, well, what could happen here? Boom. And there are some interesting Christian Wood trade scenarios that we're about to get into in a second that
I would love to hear those, because I can't think of a Christian Wood trade to save my life. I can't do it.
Exactly. I couldn't either. So I'm looking them up and they are great. Okay. So what were you going to say though, Mike?
It's really funny because when I made the video on Antonio Brown, I was thinking, I wonder if he saw what Kevin Porter Jr. and Christian Wood did and said, ooh, this might be a good idea. But in this instance, Kevin Porter Jr., I thought was a player that was going to be very vital to the Rockets culture coming in. I thought they were building around Jalen Green, Kevin Porter Jr., Christian Wood. Then they kind of told John Wall, John Wall, we're not going to play you at all. Maybe you can come off the bench if you'd like. And then now it seems like there's kind of a fire sale going on and everyone is on the table except for the players that they recently drafted. Like Christian Wood could be potentially traded. Kevin Porter Jr., I'm not really sure what his future is going to look like. The jury's out on him. Apparently, the Rockets knew that this is part of Kevin Porter Jr.'s personality. He could get really angry at times. It seems like his head coach went ahead and said that he's an emotional guy, but he's a good kid. He owns up to his mistakes, and that's all you could really ask from a guy. So it seems like his coach knows what he's doing. But it's still not something you really want to see, especially from a rebuilding Rockets team, from one of your franchise cornerstones.
So the number one sin in sports, in my opinion, is quitting on your team. I think once you quit on your team, there's no going back. Even Scottie Pippen in his own book said that he quit on his team when he pulled the whole, Tony Kukoc benching himself. He said, I committed the number one sin in sports in his book where he blamed Michael Jordan for everything. He still took accountability for that. So I will say quitting on your team is always just, to me, something that is horrible. I don't really know in what situation you leave at halftime. I mean, literally the Sports Illustrated article, first of all, the title is Rockets Need a Culture Reset. This is a Rockets team that just reset their entire team. This is a new team. So to be like the Rockets need a culture reset this early on, that if I was a Rockets fan, I would be afraid. But yeah, it describes Kevin Porter Jr. as quite literally hopping into his car and leaving his team, basically. So, I mean, no matter what, honestly, at this point in time, I'm not touching Kevin Porter if I'm any NBA team. Maybe in a few years, if he works things out, but he already had so many problems as a Cavalier that despite being an obvious young talent that they needed and wanted, a young talent that executives ranked as the number one prospect in the Cavaliers when he was a rookie over Colin Sexton, and they just let him go because they knew he had behavior issues, and he showed that in Cleveland, and now again he's showing it in Houston. When a person shows you their true colors, listen.
So Kevin Porter Jr., when traded to Houston, he had this quote. He said, I'm just in a better space, a better role. Houston just knew how to utilize me and nurture me. And he even goes as far to say, this organization saved my life. Now, it's also worth noting that KPJ was apologetic towards the Rockets and the staff that he offended or, whatever went down. So, everybody's trying to, just brush this aside. It's just a bump. I think Silas even went as far to say, this is just another bump in the road. But to add on to what you said, yeah, it's a mess. I think I saw somewhere too that a younger Rockets player confronted Christian Wood and they're like, aren't you supposed to be the vet? What's going on?
Right?
I mean, it's just unreal. And I also saw that Christian Wood has made a habit out of being late to team activities, whether it be like a game, practices, and I'm just like, that's bad, especially considering, Wood has been from team to team. When I first saw him on the Pelicans, I'm like, this guy has the talent. So, what's going on? Why is he we suck? Why are we letting Christian Wood go? He's a 7-footer. He can shoot. He's a freak athlete. He can dribble. But, now I'm starting to see more and more that I guess talent's not everything.
And this is the last thing the Rockets need, right? You're trying to build a young team. You're trying to develop Jalen Green. You're trying all of that. to have your veteran guy, you know, Christian Wood's 26, 27, but to have that guy, you know, act like this, to have Kevin Porter Jr., a guy that, you know, even if Kevin Porter Jr. isn't a veteran, he's an older player that plays around the same position as Jalen Green. You know, it's like that guy is going to have an influence on Jalen Green. To have these guys in your culture right now, I just think I agree with the Sports Illustrated article. I mean, you're trying to sweep it under the rug, but we always have to consider that when teams do sweep this under the rug, they still want to trade these guys, even if they completely don't like them. You know, they are not going to go out if they're not the 76ers. They're not going to throw people under the bus because they want to trade them and get pieces back. They don't want to just completely destroy their trade value. Now, maybe it's the case that they want to keep them. That is certainly possible, but we just have to also always consider that flip side of the coin, that they might just be saying the right thing in order to, you know, ship them off.
Yeah, so Eric Gordon actually had favorited a tweet too that said something along the lines, this was a while ago, like a few months ago, something along the lines of, I can't believe that Silas is my head coach. I'm like, yo, you can't do that. And you know, it's also interesting.
Yeah, like, damn.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
wow.
Like, you know, tweets, you know, like likes are public. Like, you know, people are going to see this. Like, it's crazy. So Flight Mike, I have a question for you. Do you think that John Wall could help at all in this Houston Rockets situation?
I mean, I think in this situation, getting a guy like John Wall that just seems like he just wants to hoop. You know, like we were talking about Isaiah Thomas. I suggested he like transition to a coach's role, and you guys suggest, and I think Coop suggested that, hey, he just wants to play basketball. I feel like if you get a guy that just would appreciate playing the game, even though he's on a losing team, a former all-star that had to battle back from an Achilles tear, that is a very respected player in the NBA. He's a fairly good setup man, a really good playmaker. You surround him, you play him alongside like Christian Wood, Jalen Green, Kevin Porter Jr., and just, you know, just let the dudes hoop, then I think some good things could happen. I'm just shocked because it's the players that you expect to be the most poised that are currently stirring up the pot the most. So one has to wonder, what is going on with Steven Silas? Could he potentially be the problem? Is there a way that he's not able to reach these players, or something about along those lines that's going on? Because if you have Eric Gordon and Christian Wood getting upset, and then John Wall isn't allowed to play, then you have to kind of like look at the situation and say, what's going on? Maybe the Rockets are frustrated by the fact that they feel like they have the talent, but it seems like the Rockets might be trying to intentionally sell they're putting Christian Wood in these trade talks, you know, so maybe the players are frustrated because of that. What do you guys think?
I feel like the Rockets are putting themselves in a dangerous situation. I feel like everything that we've all ever heard about a losing culture, this is what you don't want to do, too many young guys, not enough veterans in the locker room, like literally, you're right. I mean, you know, when you consider John Wall would be the vet. You would think he'd be able to come in and help Jalen Green. It's very strange that wasn't the role that the Rockets tried to get him to be. Like, if you think about it, he's an all-star point guard who should be theoretically a great mentor. Now, I say theoretically because, you know, we love to pair veteran players with younger players and immediately like hope that they'll help out the guy. That's not always the case. The NBA is, you know, a professional league. Sometimes guys are just professionals and don't really care about, you know, the young guy and helping him. They're like, you're going to take my job. I'm not going to really help you. But regardless of any of that, you know, there are plenty of veterans to go around. We've been seeing veterans signed left and right. Get some veterans in this locker room. Get some, you know, older guys to help the younger guys. This is just not a good situation. It's not what you want. This is not how you build up a team with young talent. This is how you waste young talent. And this is how you become a situation, not to throw anyone under the bus, but Sacramento Kings have not made the playoffs in what, like 15 seasons or something, like since Chris Webber was on the team. I mean, freaking Sacramento Kings have done exactly this. They've just built a poor culture. They've collected talent, but they can't do anything with it because their culture's horrible. No one wants to coach there. No one wants to go there free agency. You don't want to be this team. So I would say,
have you actually seen some of Gentry's like quotes from the Sacramento Kings? They are they're bad. You got them, Mike? Like they're really bad. So Gentry had one quote, and look, I mean, if this is true, holy crap. If anybody, like if this is actually a quote, holy crap. So the quote is, if anybody needs me, I'll be at home drinking. That is a mouthful from Sacramento Kings coach, Alvin Gentry.
It's so funny. What you put, to be honest with you, I really have no idea what to say. It was just embarrassing. That's the only phrase. That's the only phrase I think you can use is embarrassing. That's their coach.
This is the most disappointed I've been in 34 years in the NBA.
Oh my!
I can honestly
we talk about
say
Doc
that.
Rivers, but like, how can you say this? Like, this is crazy,
bro. I mean, if he's saying it, like this man's been through it. You know, he's had he's coached some pretty bad teams, unfortunately, too. So for him to say this,
maybe he's trying to get fired. Maybe he wants that check and to bounce. Because I can't think of any other reason you'd say this. This isn't constructive. This is, if I'm a Kings player and I see this, I'm like, what the, like, yo, like, get me out of here.
Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, let's talk about the Kings more in depth next pod, because I do think that there is some stuff to talk about there, especially with De'Aaron and Halliburton. There's some good guys there that, you know, again, with the talent potentially being wasted, we never want to see an NBA player's career get wasted. Now, in terms of Christian Wood, though, coming back for a second. So before I read these out, because we did say we didn't really know any Christian Wood trades, do either of you have any ideas or any thoughts as to some teams that might be interested?
No idea. Absolutely no idea when it comes to Wood.
I'm just going to automatically put my Lakers in every trade discussion whatsoever. Is there a trade that my Lakers can make to save their season here?
All right, Mike. So funny enough you say that, because after the drama with Christian Wood, we now have a possible Los Angeles Lakers trade that could save LeBron and the Lakers season. Christian Wood for Talen Horton-Tucker, Kent Bazemore, and a future first-round pick. Do the Rockets say yes to that? Do the Lakers say yes to that? What are your guys' thoughts?
I say the Lakers 100% say yes to that. I know we love Talen Horton-Tucker, but we're at the point where we're wasting the final few years of LeBron James's career. He's playing at a remarkable pace this year, and it's really sad to see it going to waste so far. So we need to do something to get him a little bit of extra help.
I really do wonder what Christian Wood's trade value is. I mean, if it's sunk that bad, then holy crap. If I'm the Los Angeles Lakers, I guess you kind of have to or really want to make a move. But at the same time, freaking Christian Wood has made so many bad habits a thing in Houston. Look, I just don't know.
I'll say two things. Here. I'll say one, I feel like if there was a place to fix Christian Wood's bad habits, it would be with LeBron. However, mid-season, we saw Andre Drummond come in last year, did not work out. I mean, it's hard to fix bad habits in the middle of the year. So that would be concerning. But two, I'm going to say this will never happen. Talen Horton-Tucker, I do not think is nearly worth a package for Christian Wood. I, to this day, am in shock that the Lakers did not give him up for Kyle Lowry. I have not seen anything that suggests that he is this type of talent that the Lakers were hyping up last year.
I think we're both talking about like just two players that have absolutely sunk their value. Again, is there any other team that we could see Christian Wood going to?
So in terms of other teams that might make a trade for Christian Wood, so I have a few here. These are actually more legitimate trades, I would say, than the Los Angeles Lakers. So here are three other trade suggestions. We have Christian Wood trade to the Washington Wizards. All right, so we've got Davis Bertans, Denny Avdia, 2 future second-round picks for Christian Wood and Daniel Tice. So that would be, you know, young former draft pick with talent for big man to, you know, pair with Bradley Beal, of course, and the rest of the guys.
If I'm the Rockets,
That's actually
sign me up. Go ahead, Mike.
That's a really solid trade. Actually, it kind of fits in with what the Washington Wizards are doing, getting like very underrated, high, like in my opinion, like very underrated but very high quality players. Signing them on to play with Bradley Beal to hopefully be able to surprise some teams.
Yeah, so I feel like, you know, headed into this season, I would have valued Christian Wood more. Again, all this is, you know, scaring me, but I will say what is Christian Wood's contract right now? Because the last thing you want to do is with a, veteran that in the past has had, very high trade value. All right, so he expires in 2023. So he'd be an expiring contract next year. Not at all crazy to trade him. Yeah, you might actually we might very well see a Christian Wood trade coming very soon or by the trade deadline, because if he expires next year, his value is going to go down just naturally based on that. So that's a cool trade, but I feel like we should rank these because there are two other ones. So like just to compare, because if I feel like these other two teams might definitely make offers, because the other two teams are the Portland Trailblazers and the Charlotte Hornets. So the Portland Trailblazers, it would be Robert Covington and Anthony Simons for Christian Wood.
Yeah, I don't like that much. I mean, I'd definitely give me Denny Avdia if the Washington Wizards are, I don't want to say that dumb, but yeah.
So you're that high on Avdia?
Yeah, I'm very high on Avdia, and I think the Washington Wizards already have a promising young big in Gafford. And I mean, on top of that, it's just Christian, like, what do you, like, if you're the Wizards, what makes you think he's just magically going to turn it around for you? You're not going to be good enough to contend or, make the finals with Christian Wood. You're still a Christian Wood from being a Christian Wood away,
Gets you closer.
Yeah, closer to the 6th seed.
Could also influence Bradley Beal staying, if that's what you want.
I just reached this point with teams where it's like, just do something different.
No, I'm with you. I agree overall that I've agreed forever that the Wizards should just rebuild. But I'm saying, like, if their motive is stick around and continue to be a playoff team, and if Bradley Beal does want to stay here, and if that's what they want, then I do understand why this trade would make sense.
I think it's a fantastic way to keep Bradley Beal in Washington. And I don't know. I'm starting to see Bradley Beal as Damian Lillard 2.0. Like, he's going to be remarkably loyal to Washington. Enjoy the fact that they're trying to build a team around him, accept these crazy max contract offers, ball out, and be allowed to play his game and not have to defer to other superstar players on his team.
What do you guys think Christian Wood is averaging right now? Points per game.
You can't ask me because I've been looking at it.
Yeah, so he's averaging
I was looking
16,
at it.
17 points per game. He comes with a bunch of bad habits. He doesn't play defense. He is a ball stopper. A lot of times for the Houston Rockets, he wants to be the guy. So, if he goes to Washington, there's a good chance the same stuff is going to happen with the Washington Wizards that happened with the Houston Rockets. There are some possessions. I love it. He plays just like me at LA Fitness. He gets the rebound, dribbles down court, no passes, takes a shot.
He does do that, and it's insane. I noticed it when the Rockets were playing the Bulls. I thought, because I'm not watching every Houston Rocket game. I thought that was because their guards were out, because Porter and Green were both out at the time. But if that's what he does all the time, yeah, it did not look right. It reminded me of very old school Chicago Bulls when Joakim Noah, when he was like a younger player, would try to do that multiple times, just dribble up the court, and 1 in 10 it would work, but he always turned the ball over trying to do it.
So Şengün is so good that I'm at the point too that if the Rockets get any positive assets back for Wood, it's crazy W, just good stuff. Houston, like you're on the right track.
Okay, so we have the Hornets as well, and so the Charlotte Hornets is your boy James Bouknight's involved with PJ Washington and Kelly Oubre Jr. for Christian Wood and Daniel House Jr. And the number one line on this might seem like a little bit too much for the Hornets to pay. That's until we realize they're getting out of Oubre's contract for the next year. He is not panned out in a reserve role. So basically they would get out of Oubre's contract on top of that.
Does PJ Washington come with Brittany Renner, or do the Charlotte Hornets keep Brittany Renner?
She's for the team now. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow. So I wonder why they think Oubre hasn't panned out. I haven't watched as many Charlotte games as I would have liked, but I mean, he's been having sort of a resurgence this year from everything that I've been seeing, just highlight wise. So, that's really interesting. On top of that, the Hornets have one of the worst defenses in the league. And I guess if you just admit that you're not going to fix it, yeah, just screw it. Go all in on Christian Wood because they can use a lob threat, big that can, block a few shots. Hey, maybe he locks in with LaMelo. I don't know.
Kelly Oubre has been playing pretty much just slightly better than last year. He boosted his 3-point percentage by 5%, which is pretty big. But the problem that the Hornets have is they have way too many guards. Like way too many, and they just drafted James Bouknight. And
Oubre was like he was an albatross almost in Golden State. Like they hated him. I refuse to believe like he's just slightly better from last year. I've actually seen some Hornets fans be like pretty excited about his play, but
his field goal percentage is down.
What's up?
His field goal percentage is up by like 1%, but his 3-point percentage is up by 5%.
That's a massive increase. That could be the difference between like guys just letting you shoot and hey, I'm a league average shooter. Like 5%, that's like going from 36 to 41. If he was shooting 42% from 3, it'd be like, yo, everybody got to have Kelly Oubre,
So looking at this, Kelly Oubre currently is not a part of the top 5-man rotation, like the Kelly Oubre is not a part of the 5-man combo that is, normally on the court. That is LaMelo, Miles Bridges, Gordon Hayward, Plumlee, and Rozier. There's a giant drop off after that, but it doesn't look like Kelly Oubre is anything of a negative. It looks like he's just, kind of just in the middle, not really doing. I feel like it's more of a situation. I wouldn't say, he's underperformed or anything like that. I just would say like, yeah, you can trade him. It's not going to kill your team if you do.
Yeah, that being said too, I don't like his fit with Houston. Also another guard.
To be honest, I don't really like Kelly Oubre's fit anywhere, if I'm just being completely honest, because I've watched multiple Hornets games and like a lot, like when the Hornets are rolling, when they're just crushing it, like the ball's moving, they're exciting, they've got all this stuff. I feel like Kelly Oubre is like one of the rare ball stoppers on that team. Like the ball goes to him and he's like more of an ISO guy. I mean, maybe I'm just completely wrong, but in the Hornets games I've watched this year, that's always what I've got. And that also could be just my feelings from him as a Warrior. Speaking of guys that might not fit into the team that they're currently playing on, did you hear that Ben Simmons has currently lost $10 million this season in fines?
Yeah, I remember when there was this like report that came out about him pretty much going broke, which I felt like was very exaggerated. But when you're leaving $10 million on the table, and apparently like the report stated that the man bought a brand new mansion in Philadelphia, buys a brand new car every month, and you can imagine with the amount of money he's made throughout his career, how expensive those cars are. What the hell is Ben Simmons doing?
Whoa. 10 million?
10 million, bro.
That's a lot of money, dude.
I don't think I'm going to make 10 million in my entire career, bro.
At one point, do we just all turn on Ben Simmons because we actually look at that $10 million and go, oh my God, that would set me up for my entire life?
Bro, that's my biggest problem with Ben Simmons, honestly. Like, I just feel like he's like, for lack of a better way of saying it, and pardon my French, but I think he's just a whiny little spoiled bitch. Like, honestly. If you have a job in the NBA, you're the number 1 overall pick, you're one of the franchise cornerstones on a contending team, your coach was an idiot and called you out on national TV, okay, get over it. It's not worth losing $10 million over.
Yeah, I just show up and sabotage a la James Harden. Where like, I just be a mess. You wouldn't even want me there. You'd kick me off the team before anything else.
Again, the way for Ben Simmons to leave Philadelphia right now is to rejoin the team and shoot a 3-pointer every single time he touches the ball. Everyone will boo. Joel Embiid might punch him, but there's nothing against the rules about that, and I'm sure they'll trade him very soon if he does that.
I don't think people would boo. I don't think people like if I saw him attempting
nuts. You have not been
Philadelphia.
You haven't been to the Sixers. I've been there multiple times. They
so
boo
ruthless.
People.
No, I mean for shooting a 3, I wouldn't boo.
No, they booed Robert. They boo guys on their own team. Like Furkan and Robert Covington come to mind. Like they would miss 3 shots in a row or 2 or 3 shots in a row. Boos raining down on them. They are brutal.
So they literally just booed Tobias Harris the other night, and after Tobias scored, He said, "Don't effing clap. Don't effing clap."
I love it.
It's so intense.
So with that said, though, guys, we are very excited to say that we are up in our game. We're going from 1 podcast to 2. The new post dates are going to be on Tuesday and Thursday. I'm very excited for this. I've been wanting to do 2 pods for a while. What are you guys thinking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just yeah. No, honestly, when we started this pod almost a year ago, it seemed like all of us seemed really motivated to really put out the best podcast in the realm of basketball out there for you guys and lifestyle. And the support has been incredible so far. So from the bottom of our hearts, guys, thank you so much to all of the day one members of the Laced Up podcast that supported us. All of those that went ahead, left some reviews for us on Spotify and Apple, suggested ideas to make the podcast even better. This is all for you guys. We're really excited to go to 2 pods a week. We hope you guys enjoy the additional content, and thank you so much for supporting us.
Honestly, couldn't have said it better. Good job. Good. Awesome.
Yeah,
Did he just become like number 1? No, I'm just kidding.
If you're still here while the music is cued, here are 2 videos I think you are definitely going to enjoy. Make sure to click on one of them. Again, I know you're going to love it. And other than that, have a great day and peace.